Hello, everyone. Welcome to my TED Talk. I'm going to be talking today about three different creation myths and stories and how they relate, what their similarities are, what their differences are, and I'm going to be looking at a monotheistic religion, a polytheistic myth, and a non deity related myth. Today we will be looking at the Greek mythology, the Christian creation myth, which I mean also would be the Judaism creation myth, and the Buddhist creation myth. So we'll be looking first at the Greeks, which for the Greeks everything started with a void, and it was chaos, and there was a bird there, and her name was Nyx, and she was just around by herself in the void where she ended up laying a golden egg, and she was sitting on this golden egg for ages and ages and ages and ages, and through the egg eventually it hatched and it became the god of love, Eros, and both halves of the egg, so the top half and bottom half of the egg split. The top half became the sky and the bottom half became the earth, and Eros said, we'll create love between the heaven and the sky and the earth. So that's what he did. And through the loving of the skies and the earth came children, and these were the Titans, including Kronos. And Kronos got very worried about the kids of the Titans, the gods, getting angry and having too much power. So he started to eat each one of his children. Each time he had a kid, he'd eat it to make sure it doesn't go away. Well, his wife got a little bit, oh, I don't think I'm okay with this, by the last child. She took him, protected him, and kept him safe, and he ended up being raised, and he became Zeus, and through Zeus came the creation of people and animals, and it has a lot of similarities to what we're going to reach to next, which is the Christianity creation myth. And through the Christianity myth, at first there was nothing but God, and within 6 days, God had created life, God had created the sky, God had created the sun, God had created earth, God had created animals, God had created plants, God had created the oceans, and eventually he got to humans, where he created Adam, who was the first man, and through Adam created Eve, and Eve had the first original sin against God in the Garden of Eden, which this then led to sin, and then the prophecy with God going forward of delivering the promised land and what is good. And this will lead us now into our last non-deity related Buddhist, and that's Buddhism. And Buddhists believe in cyclical time. Was never a true beginning, and there's never a true end, because everything is cyclical in nature. And Buddhists know that when they're here, they are on their path to enlightenment, to end suffering, to reach that final peace. And once they reach that final peace, it'll be the end of their cyclical nature, even in life. And because of this cyclical nature, they also have the belief that before time, there was something else before, because something had to end to reach the point they're at now. Something always has to end for there to be a beginning. You can't have the beginning without the end. You can't have the end without the beginning. So that is deeply into the beliefs. And the creation myths are much, much, much different around the world. There's the Aboriginals who believe in dream time. There's the natives who believe in around the same thing. There's animist cultures that believe in the spirits and all animals and all that, how there's the spirits inside each and every one of us. And because of this, each creation myth has its own differences, but specifically the ones I'm talking about today, the Greek mythology, Christianity, and Buddhism, they all have the belief that there was something before what is now, and that's a big theme that tends to be the creation myth. This is only really debated against through the Big Bang Theory, because that says there is nothing and then boom, there is something. But the Greeks had the void, the Greeks had the lonely bird, and there was chaos with the titans and the gods. Christianity had God, and Buddhists have never really had that true beginning, against the ending. There's no ending to reach that beginning. Greeks have an idea of an underworld after death that reaches that has different levels throughout the underworld, that what your nobility and goodness on earth is will get you. They have their main called Elysium, and that's where the most noble people go, and they go there and they have eternal rest and peace. But it is different from the Christianity where it's a heaven where everyone goes and it reaches God, and it's the fulfillment of God's prophecy when love with man. It is different because everyone goes to the same underworld where there is no divineness, there is no big deity that's there that they're there worshiping and celebrating like there is with Christianity. But it is very similar to Buddhism with the deities, but not with the deities, I'm sorry, there are no deities in Buddhism, with the overwhelming goal at the very end of being peace, because in Buddhism and Hinduism, life is about suffering. It's suffering, and how that's overcome, and how you reach the enlightenment to overcome your suffering. And through Buddhism, the ultimate goal is to end the cyclical, end it, to get to the point where there is no more suffering, there is no more going again at life, no more of this, no more of that, and to reach ultimate enlightenment is to end the suffering. And it's very important that they reach that and get their final peace. And I found a big similarity between all of these, which I touched on a bit earlier when I was going through each one, is that each creation myth had something beforehand, besides obviously the Big Bang, and each one has something before the original creation, and then each tradition, I feel this is very important, each tradition, each belief system has a connection with humans in the created world. In Buddhism, the cycle of existence provides opportunities for spiritual growth and liberation, to finally break free from the cyclical nature and to go through it enough times where you can reach full enlightenment. Greek mythology connects humans with the actions of the gods, and gods can get angry with the humans' presences, and there's that connection. They go hand in hand together. They're always together. You can't have humans without the actions of the gods, and basically so far and so forth. Gods are there to help humans, and there's fights, and there's hundreds of thousands of stories about these Greek gods having interactions with the people. And then with God and the Christianity world, it's one God, and humans, the big part of Christianity is that humans are created in the image of God, and they're there to basically run the earth. They have stewardship on earth. They have the ability and the processes to maintain God's image here on earth. So they have that personal connection with God, and it's in the image of God. It's important. They have the connection with the Creator, and they have the prophecy with the Creator. Buddhists have their being. Buddhists have each and every one of their lives is to try and get out of the cyclical nature, trying to get out of the cycle that goes over and over and over and over again, trying to end the suffering. And this is just so important when you look at creation as a whole, creation myths as a whole, of everything revolves around humanity. And did humanity do this right? Did humanity do this right? Because creation myths tend to play out right into flood myths, when the creation may go awry and there's a change and something's wrong. Creation can't happen without humans, which makes a lot of sense, because how would we be here without creation or whatever? But in each creation myth you look at, humans are such a big part of it. There's such a big role placed on humanity and how important humans are. And there's these connections even in the most different of polytheistic, monotheistic religions with no gods. And humanity is at the center of these, but they all have their own differences. There's different spiritualness, there's different things, there's different stories, there's different myths. But I feel it comes from the same point of, how did the magic of humanity come to be?